I have an MBA from a company called the Power MBA. And in that, they talk about creating blue oceans. You might have read that book, The Blue Ocean, which is a new market rather than the red ocean, which is the market that everybody's going after, which refers to the sharks, the businesses going after all the same customers, right? So we're trying to create new markets. And this is stuff like what Uber did. This is stuff like Cirque du Soleil did when they changed the way a circus is done. These are markets like that have created new things. And so it's really cool to hear people saying this word niche and grabbing a hold of it. And it's just going to change your business. If you try to get too much of that market, you're just not going to hit it. And so it's really powerful. And so the opportunity with ChatGPT with this that we have right now is just a really powerful opportunity. I discovered a little bit about my background. I have about 30 years of experience in for-profit and nonprofit business development. I started a nonprofit 20 years ago called Because People Matter. In fact, Caleb was one of the first people. He was an intern at a local church that I was at that brought me up to start Because People Matter. And we went up into Portland and he helped me unbolt the building I was given was vandalized, and we had to unscrew remember kid, we had to unscrew the doors to get in there and pull the police had boarded up the windows because someone had broken all the windows. So we had to undo all that. And then we launched this organization and it went for 20 years. And now it's changed to a leadership development consultancy company for nonprofits, which has been really a fun job. And so I did that. And in the middle of that, I started developing leaders because people would say, hey, come talk to our team. And I really found I loved that niche of leadership development. And this is before the word coach became really sexy. And so I started coaching before it was like out there, and so I started working in that, and then I went back to school and I got my master's in leadership studies, and then went back and got my MBA in disruptive business and marketing, and just started using that and created this new organization called Authentic Us, which comes from the Latin word authentic leadership. So my thesis was on authenticity as a leader and how to be authentic both in your workplace and both at home, right? So that's the power of that, and then created a I think a new thing. I think I morphed it a little bit from some things that Scott has been talking about. And I asked him if I could use this name and created the term life and leadership architect. And so I call myself a life and leadership architect, and I focus on helping navigate change for people and organizations. And so that's what I've been doing and helping people do that now. And now I'm harnessing ChatGPT and the AI to actually help thrust that forward. And as we would say we're collapsing the workflow, right? So many of us have these workflows that are overwhelming and big, and we're overwhelmed. We got to do an SOP here, and we got to come up with a niche here, and we got to come up with the business plan for this. And I have this new idea. And so all the ideas get huge. Well, you using chat in the right way, and we'll talk about that later on, we're able to collapse that workflow. And what used to take us a week now can take us about 6 hours or 5 hours or 4 hours of just intentional work. And so I didn't even know what it was. And ChatGPT came out in November of last year, and then it just kind of took the world by storm. It was one of the fastest growing things that came out. And I heard about it from my son, who's a musician. He was writing songs, and then he would need help for a bridge in a song. And he goes, Dad, you got to check this out. And so I walked in his room, and he shows me this deal. He goes, write a song with the voice of Post Malone, and the tone and the passion of Post Malone. And then it would write this bridge for him, and he would take part of that and tweak it. He wouldn't take the whole thing, but he'd tweak it and make part of his music. And so he collapsed the workflow of writing a song. And now he leaves for LA in the middle of July to go potentially be signed by Warner Records. So something's happening with it. And so it's pretty exciting. And I'm excited to be here this morning to talk about how this is really, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of stuff up in my head. We're all entrepreneurs, and that's really what entrepreneurship is. It's about ideas. and we want to bring value to the market. We want to bring value to the world. If you don't want to bring value, if you don't want to bring value to people's lives, stop what you're doing now and just go get a job, right? Because really what we were doing in business and what we're doing in entrepreneurship is we're bringing value in a way that wants to, as Steve Jobs says, I want to make a ding in the universe. I want to do something that changes the world and makes the world a better place for people. And I don't know if there was an organization that it changed music, it changed phones, it changed cameras, it changed almost every market, almost electronic market that we can get our hands on. And so I'm pretty excited about what we're going to talk about today, as I'm spending a lot of time. I think I've got about, hundreds of hours in research, in classes and training. I just got off yesterday. I was on right after that, I went on a phone call with Caleb, but I just finished a 2.5-hour class on ChatGPT and grant writing for nonprofits, which was a phenomenal class. And I just learned how to, if you've ever written a grant, I've written grants for nonprofits, and for my own nonprofit, they take about a week to 10 days to put together. With ChatGPT now, we can take that, squash it down, and do it in about 6 hours. And so it was a really powerful class. There's just a lot going on right now. People are discovering it and stepping up into it. So little long intro. There you go.
No, that's great. I mean, even though we've been working together for, well, really a long time, but recently with the increased frequency, as you've been helping me write content and landing pages and follow-up sequences for clients and partners, I never really heard the connection to your leadership development, how ChatGPT is really an extension of that. At first, I was kind of like, this is kind of like a weird little hobby Marshall's gotten into, but really it's a tool that you are using to help develop organizations and help organizations get their message to the market, correct?
Absolutely. Well, you just, like, for example, yesterday, I've been in meetings all day yesterday, and I sat down with a company called Sunshine. It's like Sunshine Retirement Homes. And they have 139 homes all over the US, and they're based here in Bend. And I was able to do research on their company based out of ChatGPT, find out what the pain points for the particular leaders of each one of those centers are, and bring that to the meeting and be able to tell them, here's what your pain points are, and have the people sitting at the meeting going, yeah, that's right, we really need to focus on that, and be able to say, here's how I can deliver a talk on that, or deliver a coaching platform, or deliver a leadership development platform based upon that. I have all the training and with my masters and with all the stuff I've learned, but now I'm able to put it in a succinct outline that shows them how I can do that. Does that make sense?
Did you meet with Steve Eatman?
No, I met with their HR gal. Her name is Allie.
Okay, yeah, their VP of marketing is a good friend of mine, Steve Eatman.
Oh, cool. I didn't meet with him.
Well, you need to. Okay, that's our next step. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marshall, for the backstory. Let's, how do you want to do this? I'd like just to do a live demonstration if you want to screen share. And maybe since John has already, I'd like to pick on John today. One, because I think he's a big boy and he can handle it. But I'd love to, since he's already started to go down this road of niching, maybe we can do a live demonstration and build out some of his marketing and messaging to increase the results of what he's already doing.
Okay, let me see that.
What do you think?
Well, I can do it. I'm just trying to get myself situated.
We'll get yourself situated.
Yeah, well, thanks for telling me I was doing it this way.
Marshall, I sell specific prospect data, B2B or B2C, very, postal, contact name, phone number, mobile, email, hard data points targeted, and I can sell a list to anybody. Email list, phone list, mail list, doesn't matter. Custom audience for social marketing, and obviously I can sell to anybody, and I've been doing that for 20 years, and I'm all over the place, and we talked about that like trying to jab 80 fish with a spear in the stream and you get none, versus lately I just focused on one of my markets, which was senior health insurance, like Bankers Life. You know, they want to sell you Medicare, MedSup, and then once they get in the door, they sell you financial services and so I've just focused now and actually hired a 100% commission salesperson, and that's what I've done. I've kind of stopped everything else, and I'm just looking at this market of like American Senior Benefits, Bankers Life. That's what they all do. They just sell, and it's weird for me to just only do one thing. It's scary. But
Yeah.
like I said, and you said, that little niche is scary. You think, oh my God, I'm not doing that niche is so huge. I don't even stop and look at it. That niche is so huge.
Right. So is this who I'm working with, Caleb?
That would be my suggestion.
Okay. So give me your niche again. How would you give me that niche? What's the name of it?
That would be senior health insurance.
Okay.
Health insurance for seniors and financial services.
Seniors. This might take me a little bit. Seniors health insurance, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to put seniors health insurance. Let's put that.
Okay.
So that would be the seniors health insurance, like salespeople, right? Or that's what we're.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like a realtor has 10 agents in a large office, you know,
So I'm going to
a
put
Bankers Life.
right. Seniors health insurance agents.
Can you put it
Yeah,
on
or-
the
Yeah,
screen share?
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to be doing it this way, so I'm having to modify some things real quick. So let me
pause. How did you envision it? I'm sorry. I guess I should have asked.
Well, it's okay. I just needed to know. I was thinking I was going to talk about what prompting is. I was going to give them an understanding of that so that they could actually learn it a little bit, but we can do it this way. It's fine. I just, we'll figure it out. So, is it John? Is that who again?
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
So John, I'm going to share the screen here now, and then, so I can show you. And then I can teach it that way too, because I think it's important that you see. Okay, so this is, I don't know if you have chat.
I do.
First and foremost, Chat GPT, you have to have a membership, obviously, and there are two levels. There's a non-paid level, and then there's a paid level. And I have the paid level. The paid level is $20 a month. If you can do the paid level, you should do the paid level. The GPT 3.5, which is up here, is their fastest model and great for most everyday tasks, but sometimes it hallucinates and it's a little bit quirky. But it's really fast, and you'll see that here in just a second. And then Chat GPT 4 is the newest version, and they keep adding things, and I'm an early adopter, so I get all the early stuff when it comes out. So this is the default mode, but now they have a code interpreter, so you can actually write code. You can actually have it write code for you if you want to create a website. I need code from JavaScript, or I need code from this kind of code language, and it'll write the code for you. They have plugins. So right now they have these different plugins. So there's all kinds of there's like Wolfram's on there. So this is data where you got to remember that all ChatGPT's data is stopped at September of 2021. So that's all the data it has up to. But now, because of the web plugins, now it can find data on the web. And so that makes it a really good program, or a good opportunity because of that. I use a couple of these different, you can go on to the store, they have a plugin store. And if you can see that, there's all these plugins that you can put into ChatGPT 4, and there's hundreds of them. But some really popular ones, let's look at these, like Type Perfect to craft the perfect prompt every time. A Wolfram is wonderful because it gives real-time data. You can actually make financial models with it. You can a Barry with your pro formas. Wolfram is a great program. Scholar AI, Link Reader, you can take PDFs and scrape a PDF and pull the data points out of that. It's
Gosh.
amazing, right? So there's just a ton of different plugins that you can work in there. And we can talk about that if you need help with that.
I feel like we're watching again when Apple released the App Store to the iPhone.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone 1 was like, oh, this is cool. This is basically a phone with a flat screen.
Yeah.
You know. And
So-
then they released the App Store and it changed everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the plugins are coming in and they're talking about GPT-5 now. GPT-4 is going to give stronger, sometimes better answers. Sometimes I do things when I'm prompting, I'm doing in GPT-3 and then I'll move it over to GPT-4 to see the difference in that prompt. But I want to talk about prompts real quick, if that's okay, just to kind of give you some insight into prompting. So a lot of people, there's different types. I'm going to pull this up on my screen so you can see, I can find it here. Okay, so there's a couple of different prompts, and this is a site called Prompting Guide AI, which is a really good site if you want to geek out. I like to study it. I love that stuff, so I get engaged in it. And I just want to go over a couple prompting techniques because this is important. Because remember, it's a large language model. So what you put into GPT is what you're going to get out of it. So you can't ever blame ChatGPT. You have to blame your prompting. Most of my prompts are usually a page and a half long. Okay. So
Wow.
this is why they call it prompt engineering. It's not just how do you fart in a jar, right? Or, how do you pick your nose? Or so you're going to see what, like, for instance, what I just said, there's what they call a 0-shot prompt. That means I'm just classify text. I think that vacation is okay. Neutral. So it's basically just a prompt. You're just asking it a question. There's no context for it or anything like that. It's just a simple question. That's 0-shot prompting. And a lot of people use ChatGPT that way. And so that's why they walk away going, cool, it's a great game. It's a great thing to play at a drinking game. Right now, about 86% of the culture is not using ChatGPT, right? I just received a study about it, a Pew study here just recently, and there's very few people that are actually using it in the way that it can really help design things, right? So 0-shot prompting is probably what a lot of people are doing. That means it just has no details, right? And then you have few-shot prompting, and few-shot prompting, as you can see, the prompt is, this is just a Wapatu is a small furry animal native. This is the prompt to Tanzania. An example of a sentence that uses the word Wapatu is, we were traveling in Africa and we saw the very few cute Wapatus. To do, farduddle means to jump up and down really fast. An example of a sentence that uses the word farduddle is, and then it came up with that because it had an example. So when you do few-shot prompting, you're giving it an example, right? Something that it looks like to go to, because it's going to, what it'll do, think of ChatGPT like this. So I don't know how many are on here. There's probably 6 or 8 of us on this call right now. Think of each of you as a packet of information. Some of you are older, some of you are younger. So you have more experience, you have more language understanding, you have more ways to deal sentences. So you are a pack of information. So if all this was where we were going to get our knowledge, we would have some pretty good information because there's 6 to 10 of us, and we were to take a topic, right? We were to take a topic and we were to talk about it. Well, ChatGPT is like having a billion zillion packets of information at your fingertips. And you can call on that information anytime you want. You can do it in, I want you to, and I'll talk about that, what you can do in some of the prompting. But it's phenomenal in the way that, but it's all based on how you prompt it. So this is the key thing. So I'm going to share these things, but then I'm going to give you 5 keys to great prompting. These are the things I wanted to give you today. And I'll show you one of the things we can do with it in the marketing strategy, which is some of the things I do for companies when they're needing copy or different aspects like that. So few-shot prompting is another one. Another one that people use, and these are probably the top 3, is chain of thought prompting. This is where a lot of people go, Roger has 5 tennis balls, and then has the answer is, you can see the standard prompting. Chain of thought prompting over on the other side there. Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 balls, 2 more cans of tennis balls. Each ball has 3 tennis balls. How many tennis balls does he have? So the answer, Roger started with 5 balls, 2 cans. The answer is 11. You can see that. Then there's another question. The cafeteria has 23 people, if they use 20 to make lunch and bought 6 more, how many apples do they have? And the output is there. So you can see that there's a chain of thought. So we're moving down the line, we're adding things to it. So we're expanding the knowledge. So we keep adding knowledge to that particular prompt about that specific topic that we're on. Okay. So these are probably the top 3 that people use. And but I want to give you a real quick diagram of one that I use. This is a prompt structure right here. So you might, I'll take a screenshot of this and put it in the notes because I think it's really good to have, because it's going to be really helpful for you. Put this in the chat here. Well, I can't, I'll do it in a minute. So the first part of a chat, or a first part of a prompt is you first off, you set the scene, right? So in our prompt here that I'm using today, I'm saying, you can actually see I'm actually having a conversation with this. It's like I look at it like a person. So I'm like, hello, ChatGPT today, because we don't know if it's going to take over the world. So I want to be one of those people that remembers this. It was nice, right? So I'm going to be like, hey, ChatGPT, how's it going, man? Good to see you today, right? So today I need you to assume the role.
Hello, Marshall.
Yeah. Today I need you to assume the role of an exceptionally gifted research assistant. So you see what I've done there? I've said, I want you to assume the role. Whatever copy you're doing, whatever thing you're doing, you can ask it to assume a role. So now it knows it's going to go to a packet of an exceptionally gifted research assistant. Today I wrote copy for a gym membership business review company. I wrote copy for them, and I had it assume the role of one of the world's best copywriters. And I went into Google and I said, what are the top 5 copywriters in the world today? And I pulled the name off of that and I said, assume the role of this copywriter. Boom, he's the #1 copywriter in the world. So it goes and finds all of the copy that this person has written, and it uses that to write the copy of that particular output. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I need you to assume the role of an exceptionally gifted research assistant. We will be working on gaining clarity on our target market. So one of the things that's great with John is that John has his niche is identified, right? So that's the next part of the prompt. Make sure I got it right here.
Actually, my niche would be regional, bigger, not just a little one, but same thing, just
Okay.
different wording.
So what we're doing is we're saying we've set the goal. We're telling ChatGPT the purpose, the goal, set the scene of what we're doing, and which we've done. Let me go back to find chat here. I'm jumping around, so I've got to make sure I don't close windows. Now I'm going to go into the context. So I'm giving the next part of the structure of that is context, where you're going, what you're doing, what it's about. So this is why my niche is senior health insurance agents. Can we keep it there? Or do you want it more defined?
If I only had one shot, I would say, well, I don't know how you would word this, Marshall, but like larger offices are regional senior health insurance offices versus just any old. There can be a one-man band office, like it's just like realtors. There can be a big Keller Williams.
Yeah, John, this is where you, as a business leader, I would say you really got to figure that out. That's something you've got to be able to say. My niche is senior health insurance agents, period, or dump trunk drivers. You've got to be able to. So we'll keep it right there for now, and we'll tweak if I have to. So what's your offer to them? What are you giving them?
I'm giving them a source of prospects that increase their sales by about 22% monthly.
Source of prospects that increase their sales by 20%. Okay, that's your offer. That's your offer. Okay, that's great.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is in the context, I'm going to go, my offer is, my niche is, this is the context. So I'm telling chat, this is the context, that my niche is seniors health insurance agents. My offer is a source of prospects that increase their sales by 20%. Please provide valuable insights into my target market in order to inform our market strategy and messaging. Please use the following instructions. So now I'm giving instructions. Now I'm actually giving ChatGPT what I want it to do, because now I've had it become a research assistant, right? So now it's
Right.
become a research assistant. It goes into the instructions, provide a brief explanation for the target market, outline the core beliefs that are commonly held by this target market. Please state the core problems that they're having that are relevant to my offer.
Wow.
Please provide a brief explanation of the emotions. Please outline the hopes and dreams and aspirations of this target market. Please state the key drivers that are needed to get them to take action. Please be creative in your response and ensure it's easy to read and understand. So we're going to get what we're going to get when I push go based upon what you've given me. We're going to get a target market description, core beliefs, core problems, emotional impact, desired outcomes, and key drivers. These are the key aspect of marketing. When you are doing marketing as a marketing professional, these are the key things I need in order to build the copy, because this keeps your messaging. So this is the key thing with niches. Every niche is like, I think it's Sandra, you're a language, you teach language, right? Is that what I saw you do, right? So you recognize if I go to, let's look at a niche is like Mexico is a niche of a language. They speak Spanish there. I don't go to Mexico and speak Yugoslavian language because it's not going to connect. It's the same thing with a niche. If I go to insurance agents, I don't go and talk to them about dump truck driving. That's not their niche. It's not going to compute. So I really have to find out what their language is and then craft all of my copy, all of my ads, all of my video, all of my social media, all of that to that particular niche and speak their language. So this is where your business might have 10 or 15 niches in it. So you have to create language to each one of those niches. So when I'm driving it, it's like, I put it this way, I think I was talking to Barry about this, is Nike creates tennis shoes. It creates running shoes. But it has track shoes, it has basketball shoes, it has baseball shoes, but it doesn't sell baseball shoes to track stars, right? So it has to create the brand and the language around that particular shoe to get the basketball player to buy the basketball shoe. So this is where a lot of people fail in their marketing. They don't do they use the same messaging for everything, and it does not work that way. So you have to determine your niche and go after your niche. And this is where it can become difficult because it's a lot of work. So let's hit this and watch what's going to happen. So I'm using GPT-4, which is now you'll notice GPT currently has a cap of 25 messages every 3 hours. I very rarely have hit that, but sometimes you do when you're doing research. So here's what's going to happen. So it's going to look at it. So it's going to kick this out. It's slower. Absolutely.
Okay.
Target market description. Target market in this case is senior health insurance agents. They're professionals who specialize in selling health insurance policies to senior citizens, typically those age 65 and above. They are knowledgeable about their unique health needs and concerns, their core beliefs. So it's giving all the core beliefs. Now, as it's spitting this out, remember this. There's always the human eye on this. There might be things about ChatGPT that you don't like how it turned it out. That's okay. It's not God. It's just a computer. It's only spitting out language that's been put into it. But it is extremely accurate. It gets you like 90% of the way there, and then you might have to tweak some stuff. So this is just doing the research.
That's spot on. That is spot on. Like,
so what we would be doing in this particular case, because we have a niche and we have an offering that he's giving, we're able to get these kind of things. So usually the first part of my system that I put in play is that I have to identify a niche. And what I try to do is create a product. So, and here's another thing, your niche, it might be that they have a tennis shoe, right? But you are going to have to create a product name. So Nike has basketball shoes and they have Air Jordan shoes. It's still a basketball shoe, but it's an Air Jordan basketball shoe. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So it's the same thing in all niches. It might be that it's a car, but there's a certain type of car. Volkswagen, a Beetle is a niche car. It's still a car. And don't get that mixed up. And don't forget that when you're marketing, make sure that you have a product. You might have a core product that's like, one of mine is life and leadership leadership architecture, and I have a speaking platform that I use, but I change the name of that all the time to meet the need and speak the language of the niche I'm going after. Does that make sense?
Totally. So instead of me just selling great prospect data, that's not even a brand name. You're
But
saying
let's look
brand
at
that prospect data for that market,
yeah.
for
So
that niche.
John, watch this. Come up, please. Watch this one. Please come up with 5 product names for this. Certainly. Senior Prospect Boost, Golden Lead Generator, Elder Care Cell Surge. You're not losing
Great.
your actual, you're not losing
No.
what you put in there. You're just giving it a name that when you're putting it out to a salesperson, they're going to see that name and they're going to be drawn to that name. It's like going to Mexico and saying, if I were to go to Mexico and say, you know, Dobre Den, which is in if that's in the Czech Republic, that's how you say hello. The Mexican people would look at me and go, I don't understand what you're saying. But if I go to them and I go, ¿Qué pasa? They're going to turn and look because they see me. So what we're trying to do is create a product name that the actual people you're selling to look and understand it. So insurance guy's going to understand Senior Prospect Boost.
Sure. And
Does that make sense?
it's gonna stick in his brain that Mark Publishing has Prime Life Prospect.
Yeah. So you're like, so maybe your product can go to you were naming all these different groups, right? Well, every one of those groups you can create a name for your product.
Yeah. Yep.
And now you've got the same product with 5 different names and you're in 5 different niches and you're closing deals in each of those niches. And now you're actually making money because you're focusing on 5 niches with the same product potentially. You might tweak it and change it, but you've got different names.
Right.
Does that make sense what I'm saying today?
Oh my God, yeah. Totally.
So that is part of the power of this. And then I take it deeper. We can go deeper into that and deeper into deeper markets. And I can take all of that content and I'm able to create your landing page, you know, up to 25 different types of copy, whatever that could be, white papers. I can show you some examples of projects that I've been working on. Like this was the meeting.
Email message.
All of it, email marketing campaigns, because I just say, I get done with everything I've done once I've created, because we've only done a little bit. We haven't done what we call the tone, the emotion, the voice of your company yet. We haven't done some of those other things that create all that copy. So then you have all of that. And I can, when you're like, hey, I need, you know, emails, I need an email drip campaign that builds on closing and gets up to the point and has them does an offer, right? Well, ChatGPT will create that a value added drip campaign that, like, for instance, when you're doing value added, and this is so important, is that every email you send to someone, they should walk away with something they can use from that email and it can actually change their life a little bit. That's value added. We do this guerrilla marketing, or we do this good old boy marketing where we're like, sign up today. Well, that doesn't work anymore. People want value. Everything you put out should provide some form of value to the people, because there's this little law called the law of reciprocity. The human brain, this is how the brain works, and this is important because this is what sales is. All sales is we're trying to get into people's brain, right? So they'll buy our product, right? So if I add value to my product, if I add value in any email that I send out, if I'm doing a prospect, I lead and I say, hey, by the way, did you know, if, you know, say you're a lawn mowing company, you want people to mow your lawn. Well, you might say, blah, blah, blah. By the way, don't forget to water your lawn today. That's giving value. So that makes them go, oh, I need to water my lawn. Well, whenever they get ready to pull the trigger, the first person they're going to go to is the person that added value to them.
Yeah.
That's how the human,
which is usually information or good intel for them.
Whatever. This is why we do free cookies. Like, if you don't have, one of the things that people don't have is, if you're in your company and maybe you don't have any social proof, maybe you're new, you don't have a lot of people buying into things. Well, if you give them a cookie, which is some form of like an ebook or a survey or something like that, you don't need to have social proof, because you've given them a cookie and you've leveraged the law of reciprocity in your. It's always great to have social proof, but if you have But if you don't have that and you're brand new, you give them a cookie, some kind of cookie for them to connect back to. So that gives you some insight into how we can use ChatGPT to really hone down the market, create the product, and then we can move into actually creating even more content. So this gave us, and I'll send this to you, John, and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that's I really impressed with how you built that relationship, that question prior to pressing go. You know,
Yeah, so the prompt is the key, and that's the thing, is you've got to tell it what it's supposed to do. So for instance, remember, I set the goal, right? Remember? I gave it context and background, and then I told it what I wanted to do. This is my intent, my purpose. Usually my intent and my purpose is really like a one line, create this, boom, that's it. And then I gave it instruction. I told it what I wanted it to do, right? And then I even said in the presentation, I want bold headlines. You can put it in a table format. You can say, I want it to be put in a CSV format with data so that I can copy that. You can put it in, like, I want to use it in a Monday scheduling platform. I want, I mean, I use this to set OKRs for companies and KPIs for companies.
amazing.
Now,
go ahead.
Marshall, for this example with John, do we need to put any more inputs if we were to say write a one-page sales letter that John can mail out to this target market?
Yeah, we'd have to do a little bit of work, but I could probably say, if I just had this and I go based on this information using number one as the product name, write a one-page sales letter.
I mean, write with a W.
What?
The WR, right?
Sales letter with a strong call to action.
See what it does.
Right, it's going to give us something.
Maybe modify the call to action is a sample prospect list, something like that.
It ignored the typo. That's pretty cool.
Well, it does. It's gonna obviously. So here you go. This is just giving you a real quick idea, but this wouldn't be top drawer because we haven't done some certain things like this. This isn't grabbing onto who you are. So first, I would still want to John's tone, emotion, and voice. I have to create those to find out what we call your TEV is. So, but this is just from a little bit of information what we're getting. Sandra, you had your hand up a couple of times.
Yes, I did. Thank you. I've written a few articles that I thought were blogs. I just had them on my webpage or whatever. And my marketing guy says, yes, but they're not in a blog format. So stick it in AI to get the blog format out of it. The other thing I've used, I haven't tried that yet, but the other thing I've used is recognizing, boy, some of this stuff can go on forever and ever and ever. So I've restricted it to 500 words and I said, reduce to 300. And then I even played around with it and I said, reduce to 50. And I went down to reduce to 5. And it was beautiful how it came right to that core point.
Yeah. And Sandra, another thing you can do is take that same blog post, because that's your handwritten, right? You're writing, and say from now on, write in, and we can reverse what I call reverse engineer that blog to grab a hold of your tone, your emotion, and your voice.
Okay.
So what I do is then I take that and I say, reverse engineer this and give me the tone, emotion, and voice. And then I take the tone, emotion, and voice from that and I save that. And anytime I write, I say, write a blog post on this using this tone, this emotion, and this voice. And then that way you're always ensured, Sandra, that your particular writing, the writing that comes out is going to be in your tone, your emotion, and your voice.
Beautiful. And I
That's
also
amazing.
used it to create an ESL course because I do impromptu teaching I can do it in my sleep.
It's really good at creating courses.
So I laid it out for the course and it gave, I said, a 6-week course and it just went boom, boom, boom. And I'm looking at, that's all the stuff I do. What I bring that's different is me.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too with that, like when you're creating courses, you can actually put in one of the 15 adult learning styles. So you can actually go and you just type in there, what are the learning styles for adult learning, and then you can actually put in there, create a adult learning thing on ESL with this learning style format. So it will create it in that format to make sure that I use it all the time when I'm creating courses, when I do training, because it helps to make sure that if I'm using adult learning, I have to make sure there are certain adult learnings, they need to have kinesthetic learning, they need to have audible, they need to have visual. So it helps me to outline that in a better way. And sometimes it'll even give me suggestions on YouTube videos to use in it that I can actually. So what we're doing, notice what we're doing, we're flattening the workload. We're flattening.
Yeah, I was blown away with it, and I've just started messing with it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, cool.
And I have to leave. I got to go pick up my income taxes. But it's been great.
Bye, Sandra. Thanks for coming. All right. Well, let's start to land this plane. Thank you, Marshall. Put in the chat right now, everybody. Put in the chat, what's a takeaway you have right now? Even if you've been using chat, if you've not been using chat.
I just put that document, the little model for your chat, your prompts, to make sure you put it that way. I don't know if you see it in there or not. It just shows a screenshot. Scott, I've seen like with coaching and the things that some of the things you're doing, this is a really, I mean, it's a huge deal, creating strategies for people. Like if you have an individual client and you have an individual client and you're talking to them and they have an issue, you can actually, obviously you have a lot up here of solving problems, but this actually can help you. Well, give me 5 practices to help implement that particular thought pattern into their life. And it'll pull, you can say, assume the role of a neurochange practitioner and help me to, and then it'll pull up a neurochange, it's really awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see
Can
that.
we get your contact, your email, Marshall, in the chat?
I think he's popping it in there.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so the prompts are the key for best results. Tell chat to use tone, emotion, and voice. Jason says mind blown. Good thing he's wearing a do-rag. It's keeping all of his mind in there. Marshall's GTP prompt skills are amazing. I agree. Who's gotten some value out of today? Anybody? Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, so Marshall and I are.
And he's got my middle name's Marshall, so
Hey, there you go.
there we go. We got that going for us.
It means keeper of the horses.
Oh, did not know that.
Or steward, yeah.
Yeah, man, all that chat GPT stuff was cool, but that little factoid, that's what I'm going to remember. That's how my brain works. So, okay, so cool. I'd like to hear from someone. How are you going to apply this into your business? Not just what your takeaway is, like what are you going to actually do with this information? So, let's say Barry, what about you?
Well, first, let me unmute myself. So I've been doing some of this myself with what I consider to be some success, course structuring and messaging, and write me a blog post, talk to me, and doing some posts on Facebook and LinkedIn. But what I'd like to do is based on seeing Marshall and the way that your acumen with this is to take some of the things that I'm generating myself and sending them to you to see if you can kick them in the butt.
If I have the time, I'd be able to look at that and see what I can do for sure.
Okay, that'd be appreciated. Nice to meet you, by the way.
And you, to see your face is true. That's
Thank you.
good. We have the same hairline.
Uh-huh. I'm holding on to whatever it is that I got a little bit more, but emphasis on little.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, if you Awesome, Marshall. Thanks so much. Marshall will be popping in and out of the group, and he's been integrated into the FunnelFlow agency workflow. So if you want more access to Marshall, pick a subscription level and go all in. Join the FunnelFlow Mastermind, sign up as an agency client so that we can really help you implement this stuff and do it for you so you can focus on what you do best. And that is being you and being the attractive character for your business and attracting opportunities and
bringing value to people.
Yeah. So what I've seen a lot is, let me speak from my own experience. I have spent so much time in a cave learning how to do marketing stuff, right? When really I could spend about, 20% of that time learning, and then the rest is interacting with people, providing value. It grows my business faster, and I actually learn faster because now I'm, what's the word? I'm applying my knowledge, right? When you apply your knowledge, you can learn and grow so much faster. Okay. And so what this allows me to do, right, having AI collapse workflow, it allows me to not just spend so much time in the cave creating. Because as a creative, and I think most entrepreneurs have a element of being a creative, right? We want to create things, right? We want to create business. We want to create value. It's really tempting just to be in launch mode all the time or create mode, right? I'm going to go make another funnel. I'm going to go make another, I need to redo my website. My logo's not quite right. Like we're just creating. And then we're really not in the marketplace adding value, right? And we wonder why we're struggling as a business. Honestly, I should be a lot wealthier as a result of my marketing skills and abilities, humbly, than I am right now. Why? Because I've been in a cave creating stuff instead of just being on camera, interacting with clients, providing value, right? Doing free workshops and webinars. If I were just focused on that, actually delivering the value that chat can help me create now, and collapse that creative time, I'd be a lot farther along, right? Well, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So if you've been in a cave creating, doing your craft and not out there in the marketplace providing value, no matter what you do, use a tool like chat and partner with us to help you collapse that workflow so that you can be out there in the marketplace, shaking hands, putting a kilt on, right? Go out there and creating opportunities. Hashtag Jason. Going out there, creating opportunities, cultivating relationships, really being the attractive character of attracting opportunity into your business. Does that make sense?
All right. And you know what? You don't know what you don't know. And you learn something new. So and chat is a tool. Okay. It's not the answer. You're the answer. It's just a tool. That's what I use. It's a tool for me to collapse workflow. And that's a really important aspect of this is reckoned. You still have to put the human eye on it. You still have to tweak it. You might still have to correct it. Another tip is I always run everything that I do through chat through Grammarly. I run it. I literally copy and paste it into Grammarly and run it through there. And then Grammarly will actually correct some of the other stuff as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your assignment this week, and I want to hear some wins next week, is go create some new value in the marketplace. Okay, whatever that means for you. If that's offer a free workshop, if that's have coffee with someone and speak into their life, right? If that's send someone a card or a gift, maybe it's a prospect or an old client or something, just find a specific place to add value, right? And usually value is just attention and love, right? And you'll be amazed at the opportunities that opens up. On Memorial Day, all right, I went to this business conference in Idaho a couple of weeks ago. I met a doctor there. He's a functional medicine doctor. He had just hired an agency to do his funnels and ads and all this stuff. And I said, hey, let me take a look at your funnel. I just want to see what you're doing. So he gave me the login and everything. And I looked at it and I'm like, I need to rearrange some stuff here. So I made a copy of it. And for about 2 hours, I redesigned it kind of the way I would do it. And then I recorded a little screen share with him and I sent it to him. I said, hey, here's what you're doing. Here's my take on it. Here's some suggestions. You know, if this is helpful, it's yours to use. Okay. So I took my little skill and expertise and I added value into his business. And he basically replied back, mind blown. I want to let this other agency go and see how I can work with you. Now, I had no end game. I was just trying to add value. So, and now he's already given me another referral. We're talking about a joint venture on something. Like, it all happened really quick, right? So find someone or some company or something, no matter, you know, dependent on your niche, where you can find a little bit of value and add it without ask, without an end game, and see what cool things happen. So anyway, also short announcement coming up in the next few weeks. We'll be having some more guests here on the Mastermind. Looking forward to having Brian Delaney. He's generated over $300 to $400 million through funnels. He'll become speaking to the group. Also, forget her last name. Her name's Maggie. She sold her salsa business for over $200 million. Now she does speaking. We have Josh Brown coming on. He runs Epic Coaches and course creation. He sold millions of dollars in courses and online education. So have a cool roster of people to come add value to us. So be sure to bring a friend. I've been inviting everyone to a calendar event, right? I'll be sending out notification texts again. I'll get that automation up and going. But if you have someone you want on this call, simply just invite them, just add them to the calendar like you would any other appointment. Okay. And let's get more people here. So anyway, appreciate you all. Marshall, thank you so much. As
John,
always.
send me your email
Thank you.
address. Send me your email address, John, so that I can send you this copy.
I will do it right now. Are you in on that? All right.